Hey guys, in today's video, we will be talking about a book that I just read. It's called Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. This book is written by Jesse Andrews. This is his debut novel, and yeah, I'm guessing the book did really well. I really enjoyed reading the book, and it was even adapted into a movie, and the movie won the Sundance Audience and Jury both different awards. So if you want to know if the book is good, well, it's good, and I just wanted to sort of talk more about why I like the book, and that is the reason why I'm making this video. Okay, first of all, let's talk about. I'm just gonna give out a gist of the plot of the book. So the book is about Gregory Gaines, this senior in Benson High School. He is a sort of a social loner. He doesn't. He is acquainted with every single person in the school, but he doesn't join any group. His only real friend, which he calls his co-worker, is Earl Jackson, and he's really not good with talking to girls or people in general. He really loves movies. He is in a very sort of he lives with a very modern family in terms of the people in his family are very open to different things. They're not very conservative, and yeah, so the inciting incident that leads to a lot of interesting things in the book is that one of the girl that he used to talk to is suffering from cancer, and his mom is forcing him to be there for her. So that is a basic a generalization of the plot. Now let's talk about the things that I liked in the book. First of all, the writing style. Even though this book is not an autobiography, it feels like that because the book is written in an extremely first person point of view. Usually, when we read books, it's from a third person where we're just like a fly on the wall, witnessing everything that's happening. But here, the author has taken an almost autobiographical approach where it feels like he's trying to recall something from his memory, even though it never really happened. Secondly, the book isn't just written in a very straightforward way. It uses three different techniques. First is the usual novella style, how novels are usually written. The second is a scripted approach where certain scenes are written down as if how they would have been written down in a movie. It's a script. And the third is listicle formats. There are something very some monotonous stuff that the author wanted to get out of the way, that the author wanted to speak about in an interesting manner, and he makes these listicles. Usually, if it I feel like the book would have dragged a lot if he would have just written it straightforward, but he does this listicle format where he writes everything down in pointers. Where, for example, if it's like, okay, if I say this, 10 different things can happen, and he lists down those 10 different things in very short and crisp manner. My favorite section of the books were obviously the script sections where it feels like we're not getting too much information. We're getting just enough information to imagine or to create a mental image of what's happening. In scripts, usually you get just a line that describes the sort of incident or the setting, and then just dialogue. And so we can sort of fill the gaps. We don't need extra information, and I feel like there was a lot of information relayed in that format, and I really like this approach. And one thing that took me off guard was how funny this book is. I did not expect it to be funny because obviously it's about a serious topic like cancer. First of all, I thought the book would be a little weird to read, specifically because so every book or every story in general has sort of this inciting incident, right? It's usually like the main character is living his normal everyday life, but then something happens, something good, something bad. He meets someone, whatever. There is this inciting incident that turns his life upside down, and that is the reason why we kind of have a story. I mean, otherwise, if his life is normal, it wouldn't be such an interesting read. But there has to be that inciting incident that sort of takes us in a roller coaster ride. So in this book, it's not anything that happens to him, but it's something that happens to his friend. And I guess for some people that they might not be completely on board with it, and I'm only saying this because I had this feeling at the back of my head where it's like, okay, so this character is using, so the author is using this other character's problem to steer the main character's life forward. The author uses Rachel as a sort of a driving force for Gregory, and it kind of feels like Rachel is just being used here as a character. And I sort of felt like that, but every story needs an inciting incident, otherwise nothing interesting will happen. And yeah, I mean, you just have to accept something like that, and I did. And I thought the book was very interesting. Yeah, the book is very much about Gregory, even though the author seems very, very self-aware, because I mean, he literally says it that he's not trying to learn anything. But I feel like the character did really learn a lot from all the incidents that happen in the book. Like, for example, even though this is not exactly a book about cancer, this is a book about being there for someone who is in need. And apart from that, this book is also about, mainly I feel like this book is about stepping outside your comfort zone. And usually it's like, okay, when you step outside a comfort zone, good things happen. In this book, it's the complete opposite. I don't think I want to give out any spoilers, but yeah, the main characters have to do stuff. And so throughout the course of the book, the stepping out of the comfort zone is very, very lenient. And they feel extremely uncomfortable in that situation itself. But later on, when they have to go all out, it becomes bad. Usually normal stories, conventional stories, they step out of the comfort zone and good things happen. But in this book, it's literally the opposite. Yeah, I thought that was a very interesting twist that we were watching throughout the book, where everything that the characters were trying to do was not working. It's everything was going wrong all the time. And but there was something to be taken from each problem, or each roadblock that came in the way. There was a lot of things that we could learn, and there was obviously, it's something that you have to read between the lines. The aspect of stepping out of the comfort zone isn't blatantly spelled out, but it's there. You feel it, because the sort of things that main character has to do to come close to, or to make sure that the girl lets him in her life. Something that was a little jarring was the cover of the book. So the book describes the main character as this overweight kid. Earl is short, and the girl is not that attractive. But if you, I guess I saw the cover that used the main character from the movie, and yeah, they don't look anything like what they've described in the book. So that was a little confusing, because every time I read about Earl's height, that did not come across at all. Earl is also a very interesting character. He comes from a very troubled home, and he sort of he needs to learn to control his rage, and he sort of goes through this journey. We don't see his journey that much, but we understand the sort of change that he's going through in the background. And finally, I really like the end of the book, where the author places the actual script of the movie, and there are notes where he writes about the changes that he had to do to make the movie more interesting. So there was a lot to learn from this book. If you're looking for a nice, interesting read, this is not a feel good book, and that I mean that as a compliment. It's not here to make you happy. It's here to teach you something about. I don't think the purpose is to teach you something, but it eventually ends up doing that. Even though if he has to cope with the feeling of not feeling sad, which I can relate to some extent as well, where you're supposed to feel sad but you feel very shitty because you're not feeling sad. Like feeling sad is the right thing, but you're not feeling sad. So what do you do in that matter? There were things like that as well. And yeah, it was kind of fresh to read a book where things don't go like you always want to read a book where things don't go like how you imagine them to be, because there's an element of surprise there. But this book actually delivers in that aspect. So if you want to read a book, if you want to read something interesting, it's I guess I didn't mention that, but this is sort of a young adult book as well. So if you want to read an interesting book about life, about death, about embarrassment, and about stepping out of your comfort zone, Me, Earl, and The Dying Girl is what you should pick up. Thank you for listening to me talk and blabber on about this book. If you like this video, do hit like. If you want to see more, do subscribe. Thank you.